inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in you, cause real women don't bitch, no. Real women don't, 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 real women don't bitch.
Hey, thank you for joining me on the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast. This is your proud host, August Crenshaw, aka Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. I am the #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs because building mental muscle is necessary in order to implement successful business strategies. This show has been created for the woman who is not excuse-driven and needs help building a profitable business. I will be interviewing women from various fields who are willing to break the silence on struggles that specifically affect female entrepreneurs. Welcome to a show where I and guest speakers from time to time share our methods that help us beast our business no matter what is going on in our lives. Whether you are an online or brick and mortar business owner, this show is for you. We will hit every angle, personal, professional, and spiritual. Why? Because on any given day, you get hit with shit from a scenario involving one, more, or perhaps all of the above. It all impacts you and your mindset towards your business. I have made it my personal mission to provide a space where we dive deep into the BS we face on a day-to-day basis. I am on freaking fire. Man, these episodes that are coming from me, they're coming from a place, right? Okay, I'm going to take what was negative energy and take it and turn it around so that it's an educational experience for you all. But I've got to address this whole thing about stealing other people's content, stealing their names, stealing whatever. I could just take this from so many different angles. But something happened to me with somebody that I really, really care about. Now, everybody hasn't had this experience yet, but the more powerful you get in doing what you're doing, when I say that you need to be really careful about who you collaborate with, that's a theme that's been going through me lately, talking about the difference between collaboration and competition. When I say you really need to rethink that thing, you really need to rethink that thing. So here's the deal, right? There's a woman I respect in the industry, and she does something that's very unique as far as my immediate friends and Facebook, and we'll just pretend like, you know, she is the car creator. She's the only person in the world that's a woman that's a car creator. And just imagine this. Let's imagine she decided to do a collaboration with someone who wasn't a car creator, but maybe they were into transportation. They didn't really know anything about vehicles at all, but let alone they want to get with the car creator because they're big on transportation. Well, once these two have a conversation, the car creator puts her on to something that's the most primary foundational thing you need to know in order to create a vehicle. Now, imagine after having this conversation, you only got about maybe 4 hours later, and the transportation person decides they're going to do a teaching on how to create cars. They're going to give this foundational principle. Yes, I know I'm giving a very bogus example. I know you guys are following me, but I really don't want anyone to figure out who this is because the names may be bogus, but this scenario is very, very real. How would you feel if you shared your ideal or concept with someone that you're supposed to be collaborating with, and then they come out and they share your technique or strategy, and then they don't even attribute it to you, and they get a lot of traction on their post, their live video, and people are like, oh my God, I didn't know this. This is the best information since sliced bread. Thank you. I love you. And you just happen to stumble across the footage and they stole your shit. You would be so freaking pissed off. You would be pissed off if you had a very unique name. For instance, like I call myself the #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs. And then all of a sudden, somebody that I work closely with, and we just have regular chopping it up conversations about mindset. And then I come to see you call yourself the America's greatest advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs. Isn't it going to look shady? Come on, ladies. Yes, it is. And so here is the reality. When I start having conversations about this whole thing of competition versus collaboration, when you hear it, because you keep seeing the posts that say, real women don't compete, they collaborate. And then you see these actresses on there that are smiling with each other, even though they compete against each other sometimes for roles in movies. I've already broken that down before. You guys take on that psyche, but for real, a lot of you heifers is fake, and you're competing with your fellow sister, and you're hearing things and you're trying to apply them, and you have no mastery. Not only do you not have mastery, you lack passion. And it's time for this shit to stop. And I don't care. Some of you might try to, if you knew all of the facts of the story, you could try to say, well, maybe the person didn't realize that that's what they were doing. They weren't trying to step on anybody's toes. I'm going to tell you something. When you a mogul, when you a business beast, there are some things ethically that you just cannot do. You cannot say something and not attribute the accolades to the person that it belongs to. You don't want to infringe on anyone's intellectual property. When this is the business that you're in, you make sure you promote where those words came from, because God forbid it ever happened to you. I don't know if I've ever explained this to you guys on a podcast episode, but I'm going to give you guys this example right here because this literally pissed me off. I remember when I launched a program. And I saw how there were peers in my industry that could use it. Because there's certain skills that I have that even though we may carry the same title, that doesn't mean that you execute the same thing. Like a lot of us will call ourselves business strategists, but what is your area of expertise? And see, business strategy means that you provide a strategy for doing business. Well, one of the best things that I do for providing strategy beyond mindset happens to do with helping to crack the mental codes for visibility and sales. It's a sweet spot for me. Those are just two of them. But at the end of the day, you, on the other hand, may understand how to do outreach, or maybe you understand how to help with business strategy for people who need to break barriers with getting into corporate contracts or something like that. So the bottom line is I saw where I could help some people. When I was sending out my messages saying, hey, you want to work with me? You want to work with me? Some people were saying, no, thank you. Some people were not responding. Well, I had this one lady I sent the message to, and you want to know what she did? She didn't respond. But here's the thing. Me and her had a meeting to do something else. And she had to go to Messenger in order to send me that Zoom link for me and her to participate in another business exchange. And when that exchange was over with, she started asking me a ton of questions. Now, for those of you who don't know this, prior to this podcast, this is where this whole thing ended up coming to be. I did a summit called the Real Women Don't Bitch Summit, where I had 12 interviews conducted where women talked about molestation, rape. They talked about financial trauma, poor decisions they made, religious obstacles, you name it. These women bore their souls in order to tell their story to help liberate other women. And I did this summit. Now, I understand some of you may have seen summits, but until you've seen a summit the way that I've conducted them, I have high participation from my speakers to promote, and I have high participation from my attendees to let it be known that they're attending. And on the days when my live videos, when my regular videos are going, my page will be flooded all day long, just literally every 5 seconds, post after post after post after post from people that attended. I want you to know that after me and this lady finished with this business exchange, because it was a meeting conducted through Zoom, when it was over with and it was me and her, she was like, yeah, I just had this great idea that I want to do a summit, and it should be a summit for women, and they should just bare their soul so that they can help other women become free from the obstacles that they're dealing with. What do you think about me doing that? And what do you think? And she just kept on asking all of these questions that were centered around something I already did, which means I know what the answers are. And all I said to her was, hey, sounds like a good idea. If you got an epiphany, you should go with it. Yeah, but I was just wondering because, my target market is, it could be this or it could be that. What do you think? I said, well, as a business strategist, that's one of the things you're going to have to nail down. But I was sitting there thinking to myself the whole time, do you really think I'm going to answer these questions for you? How about you www.augustcrenshaw.com with your fake ass and go get a strategy session? Because guess what? If you would have signed up for my boot camp, then that's one of the things I could have worked on you with. Or even if you had shown me some level of decency and respect and said, I appreciate the offer, but no, thank you, I could have still given you some leeway because maybe I didn't communicate with you enough to say what you needed to hear to convey that this is what you needed. But you completely ignored me. You didn't even practice a simple subtlety. And this is what we do, women. And this is why women hate doing business with other women sometimes. This is why we're afraid to share our deepest knowledge and information with other women. We saying words like collaborate, but on the back end, we looking at another woman like, I can't trust that bitch. And so until you start having these real conversations and until you start dealing with what the real deal is and how you feeling about what's going on for real out there in the entrepreneur world, and stop faking and saying things because it looks like everybody's doing it, you're not going to win. And since when was that the rationale behind how we made decisions? When I was growing up, if you said, well, everybody's doing it, your mom or dad or grandma said, well, if everybody was jumping off of a cliff, would you? So everybody may be making it seem like they're saying collaboration over competition, but for real, it's competition all day long. And whether you're subtly doing it or whether you're doing it on purpose, a lot of you women are undercutting other women every single day. I see it with my own eyes. I'm going to give one more example and then I'm going to let this go because I want you to see just how janky some of you all are. But I'm calling this stuff out because we got to get over this stuff if you're going to heal and go to the next level. There's a woman that I follow and she is really, really good about giving information on her posts and on her live videos. And so she gave these processes out on a post one day and a person was basically saying, oh, okay, I got that. Well, then what after this? And they were just giving generalizations, general steps. And the person was like, oh, okay, great. Well, then she ended up being on another business page. And while she was rambling, she was like, yeah, well, I've been through this and this is happening. I'm feeling this way. And this is went on with me. And I talked to this person. She dropped the person's name. And I also talked to this person, but I'm still confused and I don't know what to do. And here's what's wrong with that. What's wrong with what she did is she made it look like she spoke to this person that's a friend of mine and she didn't get sound direction. She was discrediting her. She was defaming her character. She didn't have a strategy session with her. She didn't have a one-to-one. She asked a generalized question on a post that was not created to give you answers. It was created to compel people to take action, to make an investment in themselves by using her product or service. And so these little subtle behaviors keep on coming out. You guys are changing your names to sound like other people. You're changing your products and services to sound like other people. And see, only for a small season can your mimicking be flattering. You know, they say that imitation is the highest form of flattery. After that, it's outright stealing. After that, it's you not walking in your purpose. Because when you're in your purpose and when you're in your true zone of genius, you create things that come from you spontaneous. And what will end up happening is if it sounds very close to someone else, they'll be light years apart from you. And when you see it, you'll be like, oh my God, did I just say that? And they said that, and I didn't know this. And when I said it, they said it way over here in, Africa, London, or Canada. And here I am in the United States. It's a confirmation to you that you're on the same page. But when you're constantly listening to another woman and you're sitting there trying to siphon information from her, and that's how you're constructing what you're doing, guess what you're doing? You're competing. You're not collaborating. In matter of fact, you're doing unhealthy competition. You're malicious. You're actually stealing. You're stealing someone else's stuff. Have you taken the time to analyze whether or not you're doing what you need to do to get in your own creative zone of genius? Or are you just listening to stuff and trying to act like you're brilliant and came up with your own stuff when the reality is you're fresh out of freaking ideas? And if you're fresh out of freaking ideas, but you swear to God, to me, that you're walking in your purpose, it's time for you to sit down and get some help with a mindset coach and a business strategist that's going to help take you to the next level so that you can get rid of whatever those blocks are that are keeping you from doing what you do the way that only you know how to do it. So ladies, where are we at, man? Where are we at? We got to stop stealing from each other. We got to stop being cutthroat. There's enough money to go around. There are enough people to serve. There are enough people out here that are looking for and desiring help that you could make a living and set yourself free from a job, be financially independent. You can have a location independent business. You can live the life. But when you're stealing, you're going to constantly have to copycat someone else. And, you can only do it for so long before you get exposed. That's my tip for today, ladies. Be authentic. Be you. Take your time. Stop stealing people's stuff. And if you're not the person that's stealing the stuff and your stuff is getting stolen, trust me, people can only take your stuff for so long before they end up wearing thin, because the one thing they don't have is your power. They don't have your charisma. They don't have you. There's only one you. You are the unique identifier in your business. So ladies, I don't know. This may be hurting your heart because you've been the person that's been a victim, or it may be hurting your heart because you're having to deal with the reality that you've operated in an unethical fashion a time or two. And if that's the case, what are you going to do to fix it? All right, let's get this right, ladies. I'm out of here. Deuces. Thank you for joining me today. Remember to cultivate a mindset that is biased towards taking action. No bitching, whining, or complaining. Here, our mantra is, real women don't bitch, we get shit done. See you next week as I continue to bring you what you need to keep your head in the game and beast your business. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Would you like a specific topic covered? Have a question you would like answered live? Then head on over to realwomen.don't bitch.podcast.com. Subscribe to my email list, hit me up, and I got you. Interested in being a guest speaker? You walk the walk? Then you can sign up on the website too. This is your #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs, Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. Signing out. Deuces.
Inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in